to another week of Libertarians at Large. My name is Eric Rautzep, and this is where we discuss the news and express a libertarian point of view and the goings-on in our nation and abroad. We welcome your comments and questions in the chat box, so feel free to comment regularly. We may share your comment on the air. This week, I'm joined by special guest Feena Bonoan and my fellow at-large members Laura Ebke and Valerie Sarwak. How are you doing, everyone?
Hey, hi, Eric. Hey,
Well,
Feena.
Feena, did I say your last name right? I do apologize.
No, you didn't say it right. It's Bonoan.
Bonoan. Okay, I apologize for that. I should have asked that before we went on the air, and that's my mistake.
No problem. It happens all the time.
Well, with my last name, you can imagine that I get quite the range of pronunciation. So, so how's everyone doing? How was everyone's week?
Good. Hey, how was your week? Anything big, Eric?
Yeah, I got married.
Congratulations on your nuptials.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely no different. I mean, I'm wearing this heavy ring around my finger, which of course I've taken off just prior to getting ready for on the camera. But yeah, no, that thing weighs a ton. It's one of those tungsten steel and rose gold rings. It's really pretty, but my gosh, it's like getting an arm workout. I swear.
To get used to it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So, but to our special guest, Feena, how are you doing? I could see the winds are just as crazy over in Hawaii as they are in North Carolina. My goodness.
Yes, I was actually just telling Laura about the temperature here. It's 73 degrees, but that's cold for here. And you guys being on the mainland, you understand a wind chill factor, and as you can see, the wind is going, and it's also rainy, so it really kind of feels like in the 60s, which is cold. That's cold for Hawaii.
Wow, I would love it if it was 60. Would be cold. I'm not sure how I would deal with that.
Well, I used to live in North Carolina. I was raised in North Carolina, so I'm familiar with the weather there. And coming to Hawaii, I used to have really bad allergy problems in North Carolina because of all the trees and pollen. And coming to Hawaii, I haven't gotten a sinus infection since I've been here. And that's just amazing because you get a lot of sea air. It's just always just real clean. The air is compared to North Carolina in the spring when it's 60 degrees out there.
Okay, relevant to nothing. Okay, Feena mentioned allergies in North Carolina. Okay, yes. We lived in North Carolina for 2 years and in Tennessee for 3 years when my husband was in the military. And in both of those places, at a certain time of year, I would break out.
Freezing.
No, I would break out. It's just you, Eric.
Oh, okay.
I would break out in hives. I mean, just awful, terrible hives. And the only thing we could figure out was that it had something to do with either the tobacco, or something, something in the air of the tobacco, or else something that they were spraying on the tobacco. I don't know what it was, but it happened. It happened 3 different times during those 5 years, and I'd have to take cortisone and all sorts of stuff to get it to stop.
Well, a lot of people also get really allergic to long needle yellow pine. And that's the stuff that covers your car. Like you'll drive through a visible cloud of yellow. We're coming up to that in a week or two in North Carolina. And a lot of people are really allergic to it and have a hard time with it. So, yeah. No.
Okay, I've made my small talk now. Valerie, it's your turn.
I'm allergic to the desert ash, and I didn't even know that was a thing that I was allergic to until we moved into Phoenix, and we had one tree in our yard, and it was a desert ash, and and it blooms twice a year because of how the weather is in Phoenix.
Oh my gosh!
Awful. I was like, but I'm still adjusting here, so I'm not. Cool.
So, Feena, I hear you are one of our amazing candidates for the Libertarian Party.
Yes.
Tell us about your candidacy.
I was a candidate for Hawaii State Senate District 20 this past year, and it was my first year running, and I ran against Tulsi Gabbard's dad, and it was a two-way race, and I got 30% of the vote, so that was 6,178, I think is the final total. People that voted Libertarian out here in Hawaii, which is typically a Democrat stronghold. My opponent had been running unopposed, and I think 2 cycles. And yeah, I think I gave him a lot more of a challenge than he was expecting, for sure. Especially during the coronavirus, there wasn't a lot of campaigning going on. I was telling the guys backstage that when I ran, no one said my name on the news. No one implied that there was even another candidate out on the west side, and I think the people out here on the west side of Oahu thought that just wasn't, I think they saw through that, because every day I was out there with my signs, and I would have I wouldn't just take one sign for myself. I'd put 20 signs up in a row, so you weren't going to miss it. You couldn't have missed it, or else you missed the stoplight. So, and so I think I ran a good campaign. One of the things that I was kind of spearheading was the gaming industry, bringing gaming out to Hawaii, because Hawaii is one of 2 states that doesn't have any form of legal gambling. Over the summer during the lockdowns, it was every month that we had arrests for gaming houses, like casino houses, poker houses. They're really actually more into I guess some fish game or something out here. I'm not really familiar with it, but these people were making money. When I say making money, I'm not talking about the people gambling. I'm talking about the people that were hosting it. I'm talking about the people that took your jacket. And the best part is, this is Hawaii, right? They were practicing social distancing, and masks were required, and hand sanitizer and everything at this illegal business that everyone was going to get arrested at. They were practicing all the COVID protocols. And so long story short, this year in legislation, they were trying to put up some gaming initiatives in legislation, which I thought was great. I don't think it's going to get the support that it deserves, but I also think that it's starting the conversation, and it's getting people to think of this in a way that it could solve some of the issues that we have in Hawaii. And they're thinking of it as economic issues. I think of it as criminal justice issues, because those people that were getting arrested over the summer, those people are business people. Those are entrepreneurs. Those people are running, they're trying to make their community better in a way that is not being provided for right now in Hawaii, especially during the lockdown. There wasn't, anywhere for people to go and just, spend time and entertain themselves. People like to be entertained. And to not have a gaming industry out here in Hawaii, it kind of hurts the tourism economy. It hurts the people here in Hawaii who have to go to Las Vegas, or they go to another country to go gamble. And the thing that's really messed up about it's not really, I guess it's not messed up, but the thing that I found peculiar about the way that they were approaching gaming in Hawaii, which once again, I said, I was really pushing that. I had these on everyone's door in the district, and it talks just about gaming, right? And it talks about hey, you don't want a casino next door, but you also want some alternatives for fun, and we don't need to be arresting our neighbors. So what was I saying? Gaming in Hawaii. So they wanted to put the casinos though on the Hawaiian homelands, and they wanted to also make sure that the people that applied to even begin bidding on being the person that brings the casinos in, or bringing the gaming industries in, being the construction people, the people that's going to be the proprietors of these establishments. They made requirements that they have a completely clean legal background, no jail time whatsoever. So that automatically eliminates all the people that have experience doing it here in Hawaii right now. That eliminates your neighbor that's running, a casino house next door. like from trying to move into a business zoned area. And anyways, so that makes it so that people from Nevada and Las Vegas, the gaming industry over there, they are very interested in what's going on here in Hawaii when it comes to the gaming industry, because that potentially could hurt their industry, their tourism, their, they have win a trip to Vegas all over out here in Hawaii. That's like a big thing. To me, it's just very hypocritical for us to be saying, win a trip to Vegas, go gamble over there. By the way, gambling's bad here, and we're going to arrest you for gambling here. And I'm glad that it made an impact, and people started talking about it, like I said, and the right people are starting to talk about it. The Hawaiians, like I said, the Native Hawaiians, they were the ones that were really pushing for it, and they want to put it on Hawaiian homestead land. And I think it's because they don't feel like they could get the Hawaiian government, the state government, to proceed with an actual gambling plan, and I do like the idea of the Native Hawaiians taking charge of this, because they could model their gaming industry after the Native Americans, for instance, on the mainland. And I think that there's a potential there even to work with Native tribes on the mainland for their sovereignty movement. One of the things that is kind of a catch with setting your gaming industry up in the way that's tribal, right, is that you are now considered a tribal people, right? Well, Hawaii was not always a tribal people. They were a sovereign nation with a monarch. And the way that they were annexed into becoming a state was not right. It wasn't legal. We've had formal, when I say we, the U.S. government has sent formal apologies to the Native Hawaiian people about how it was annexed. And I think that that's an opportunity as well for libertarians, for us to get behind a cause that is libertarian and functionally government, the whole non-aggression principle of not trying to achieve political means through threat and coercion, and which is how Hawaii became a state, right? And I think it's also an opportunity. A lot of times when I tell people about libertarianism, the more, I would say, credible, backlashes I get from it is that it hasn't been proven. It hasn't been presented in a real government, and that people acknowledge. And let's see what's that. I couldn't read it. Oh well. But,
I brought it back up.
Okay. I've been a Democrat all my life, and I've found more distance from the party over the last 2 years. Yeah, for sure. Take the plunge. Very good. But this could be an opportunity for libertarianism, or at least some parts of libertarianism, to be in play. If Hawaii were to gain its sovereignty back, it could be an opportunity to show what an open market looks like, what an open economy could be built upon. So, but thanks for having me on. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk about Hawaii's gambling.
So is there a sovereignty movement? Is there a real sovereignty movement in Hawaii? Do people want to separate from the United States?
Yes, absolutely. There's a sovereignty movement out here in Hawaii. There was even another political party that came out this past election cycle, and it was called the Aloha Aina Party. And their thing was about sovereignty. There's plenty of locals that aren't involved in the government at all, because they do not recognize it. They do not acknowledge it as their government. My thing is, and the thing with a lot of other people that are intelligently thinking about sovereignty, and I don't mean that other people are not intelligently thinking about it, but thinking about the future of it, right? You got to think about, well, okay, so if we dissolve America's relationship with Hawaii, what are you going to build on? And I think, like I said, that's an opportunity for libertarians to say, well, we have a pretty good platform. You don't have to take it all, but the free economy thing, I think, would benefit you. So.
Yeah, I always wonder, and this is the political scientist in me, but I always wonder what states that are calling for sovereignty, if how well they've thought it out, not just in terms of what things look like, in their state, but, it changes the dynamics in terms of, government support. The United States, if you exit the United States, you no longer have all of the perks, good or bad, from the federal government. So you lose education funding, you lose all of the social welfare funding, you lose the Social Security, you lose the military support and protection of the military to the extent that it's that I would guess that alone would affect Hawaii significantly if you lose some of those the government. You got Pearl Harbor, you get all the military bases and things like that out there. So I don't know. Just
I think what you're saying, Laura, you're bringing up a really great point about Hawaii's economy.
Mm-hmm.
It is tourism, number one economy, not anymore. And it was already on it was pretty high, but the thing is the number one economy in Hawaii is the military industrial economy. That is the number one economy out here. And so that's one of those things that you got to be thinking of the future of Hawaii when you say something like we want our sovereignty. Well, you can still have your sovereignty. We have bases all over the world. When I say we, the United States of America has bases all over the world that are sovereign.
Sure, you could. The United States could certainly continue to lease the space and that sort of stuff. But I think it does change some of the economic calculations. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying that I always wonder how much people have thought through it. And what it sounds good, but then when you start actually talking about leaving the union, so to speak, it may cost more than people are planning on. So,
well, I mean,
definitely.
There was a point that was brought up by Rob Stutz, saying that it's a lot of the same issues that Britain was seeing exiting the EU, and I think that's a very valid point. I mean, you have to now all of a sudden you're going to have to negotiate trade deals. A lot of the trade deals that the U.S. government has already hammered out, you'll have to rehammer out with a lot of other existing nations. It's not just with the United States. There is the defense aspect. Hawaii is still centrally located in the Pacific and is still a strategic point, even though a large part of it, when battleships were coal-fired, it was an important refueling station. But I mean, just strategically, it's still an exceptionally important point in the Pacific Ocean. China China would be very interested in Hawaii if it was to become a sovereign nation. I mean, are they going to make a play for it? Probably not. But there would definitely be a lot of added interest from China coming in. So I don't know. It's an interesting hypothetical. It really is. And someone else also raised the question: is secessionism a platform of the Libertarian Party? No, it is not. But it is a fascinating hypothetical to discuss. Absolutely.
So Hawaii becoming sovereign again in my mind, it wouldn't even be secession. It would be reclaiming its sovereignty, because only sovereign nations can do treaties with other nations. Hawaii had several treaties with several nations, including Britain, including America, that they were recognized internationally as a sovereign nation. So it's not like, Louisiana saying, yeah, you guys purchased this back in the day and we decided we don't want to be purchased like that no more. It's not even like that. It's like, Louisiana was never a country.
Yeah. Well, and the royals of Hawaii were actually given special acknowledgement from the U.S. government to actually retain their royal titles. And they are the only individuals who have ever legally held royal title as U.S. citizens. So little fact there.
American is facts.
I think as far as like going back to the monarchy, I don't know if that's something that they would do or would plan to do.
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it.
I would imagine they would go back to something like in the older Polynesian culture ways of like a chief system, where they had like chiefs of different sections and of the island even, and have a hierarchy made like that. I don't think that they would go back to a monarchy.
No, I was just saying that the royals of Hawaii were the only U.S. citizens ever to legally hold royal title. I'm not saying that the Hawaiians would be interested in going back to a monarchy.
I wonder if the royals actually wanted to be citizens. If they had like a choice about that, or if it's just like one of those things like, hey, you're a citizen, but congratulations, we're going to let you keep your title.
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if the Hawaiian royals ever wanted to become U.S. citizens, but they were granted it. So yeah. So sorry, I'm reading some of the comments that are coming in as well. Sorry.
Brock tells us that we shouldn't diminish the states' rights, and I don't think we are.
No,
I mean, I think but I do think that when we talk about secession, at this point in time in 2021, you have to think through all of the things that go with it. Even though I was my ninth great grandfather was hung in Bacon's Rebellion, which was in 1676, so 100 years before the Declaration of Independence, in Virginia, I come from a long line of people who think that better government is closer government, and we don't want our overlords. That said, realistically speaking, we have such a marble cake federalism, where there aren't distinct differences between states and federal, governments, that the federal has interwoven things so much into the state, into state issues, that it's really tough to contemplate what would really happen if you separated. There aren't too many states that would find an easy go of it, I don't think. Yeah. Texas maybe, I don't know.
But Texas has tried it before and failed.
Yeah.
Laura, your comment about that was about another comment about seceding and the being a nation. And one of the guys I read in the comments said that all the 13 original colonies were nations. I said Louisiana. Just so you guys know, I understand. That's why I said Louisiana.
Yeah.
I don't mean to diminish any states' rights whatsoever. I think that's one of the things that I think Hawaii has a little bit of a platform to use their states' rights, is to bring up this injustice that's happened.
But here's the problem that the policy makers have, even those of us who are very much for kind of states' rights, sovereignty, however you want to however you want to frame it. It's what I like to refer to as the golden rule. Those who have the gold make the rules, and as long as you are a state that has your hand out for federal dollars, you kind of got to follow their rules. I mean, I don't like it, but we had something like a third of Nebraska's budget is based on federal dollars that flow in. And I'm sure that it's very similar for a lot of for most states. So. It becomes it becomes tricky when we are so interwoven with the federal government.
Yeah.
Well, and that's true for anything. I mean, if states take money from federal government, or if an individual takes money from the federal government, or an individual takes money from another individual, once money transacts hands, you become in some way beholden to that individual. I mean, that's It's amazing, but it's the truth.
Well, when you talk about federal funding, you kind of talk about taxes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hawaii has the highest individual income tax in the nation. So I don't think it's necessarily an idea of like they're, hey, hand us money in the state. I think they're willing to make the state, better using taxpayers' money, which as a libertarian, we ain't cool with that, but they're already under that. I think that they probably are under the mindset that they can take care of themselves,
You'd be surprised. Okay, as a former state legislator, I will challenge you to go check out Hawaii's budget. Okay, and just see how much of the revenue flows in from federal programs. I'll bet there's a lot.
Oh, for sure.
And so I mean, and there's a limit to how much you can tax people at the state level without having a revolt. So I mean, I'm just saying, they may be thinking that they can get by with it by taxing people more, but ultimately there's a lot of problems that will flow downhill. And I'm not arguing against states' rights. I'm taking a very, pragmatic. I've lived in this world approach, and it's very frustrating when you're trying to cut things and you realize, well, I can't cut this because this money comes from the federal government and they dictate how we can, run this program. And so,
Well, yeah. Speaking of government money, the one that that's getting me right now is the COVID money. The COVID money came to Hawaii. I know all the states got COVID money, but here in Hawaii, they spent over $3 million of it on police SUVs. Police SUVs to go after people on the beach.
To shoot the COVID with guns.
on their when I say SUVs, I meant ATVs. I'm talking four-wheelers, like joyriding vehicles. These, and let me tell you, they are fun. They look fun. If I was a cop, I'd want to be on an ATV too. I wouldn't want to have to walk, a mile to get to a secluded beach to make sure that there ain't people not social distancing or not wearing their mask or anything. I get it. I wouldn't want to have to do that either for a job, especially not hot uniform. But I just don't think that was appropriate use of funds. And that's a problem out here in Hawaii, is appropriate use of funds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at how the COVID money has been spent, first of all, almost 80% or a little over 80% of all dollars in the COVID relief package went actually to fund federal programs. And some of them are absolutely ridiculous. Millions of dollars went to go buy all electric vehicles for the Department of Energy, or the Department of Agriculture got about $1 billion to investigate the effects of COVID on trees. It goes on, and it's absolutely ludicrous. So buying ATVs for a police department is 100% believable, unfortunately, and has nothing to do with COVID. And it's insane. It's government graft, pork barrel spending at its worst, and that's what it is.
I have one more thing to say about taxes and secession and so forth. Somebody points out that, well, citizens and businesses in Hawaii undoubtedly pay a lot into federal taxes, and I'm sure that that's true. There was a study, and I'll have to dig it out somewhere because I looked at it when I was in the legislature, that somebody had done on all 50 states, and all but one or two received something like between 20 and 50% more in federal funding than had been paid into federal funding. Okay. Now, how does that work? It's magic, right? Magic money that the feds get to borrow it. They need to create it from nowhere. And so that's that's a real issue, because they can just keep handing out the money and don't have to actually collect it. So, okay, now I'm done.
Well, I mean, it's deficit spending. We've been doing it since Eisenhower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
when Clinton and Obama balanced the budget, they basically moved the goalpost and said, "Oh well, interest doesn't count," or "Well, we were already obligated to spend that money, so that doesn't count." So they just moved the goalposts on what a balanced budget is and made themselves look good.
Well, Jared asks a very important question.
Oh, he does. He does indeed. And his question is, what time is it? And it's time for the New York Times news quiz.
yay!
Well, yes, I agree. It's time for change. This is very game time. Yes, there we go. So let me share my screen here because, of course, this week I did not have this pre-queued up, and I do apologize. There we go.
I mean, you didn't look at the answers ahead of time this time?
He knows half.
Well, okay, I'm going to be completely honest. Because I was getting married last week, my news reading and news involvement this week is a shadow of what I usually do.
Oh,
So
crap.
I don't know how useful I'm going to be.
We're gonna
need some help. We're going to need help.
Tank it this week. I'm going to sit up so I can be above my name.
Oh, we are losing that wholesome category here because people are now coming onto your side and saying that I'm cheating. Oh.
I was just kidding. I don't really believe that Eric cheats. He's a very honorable man and would never do that.
He's a cornucopia of knowledge.
That's right. He just knows a lot.
It's many hours of reading New York Times and BBC and Deutsche Welle and so. Okay, it was nearly impossible to miss. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle sat down with Oprah Winfrey for an interview, revealing the harsh way they had said that they had been treated by the British royal family. Many viewers drew a comparison to what other notable interview? Prince Andrew sitting down with Emily Mattis on BBC in 2019. Diana, Princess of Wales, sitting down with Martin Bashir on the BBC in 1995. Kate, Duchess of Cambridge, sitting down with Jon Snow on Channel 4 in 2004. Monica Lewinsky sitting down with Barbara Walters on ABC in 1999. Or Sarah, Duchess of York, sitting down with Oprah in 1996.
Okay, Feena.
Yeah, tell us.
Britney Spears. Britney Spears. Yes, free Britney.
Okay.
Oh.
Princess Diana.
Yeah. I think it was Diana. I think I heard somebody talking about that, right?
Yeah, this one, I mean, like they said, it is impossible to avoid this one.
And Eric is frozen.
And it's impossible to avoid. So this is Diana, Princess of Wales, and we all know that one.
Britney Spears.
Even though you're probably right, Britney Spears probably does come into this somehow.
Maybe that's the next question. Oh my God.
Nope, we continue on with the royals. Meghan and Harry's interview has been dominating the British news media. One TV host stormed off the set of a morning show and later resigned after saying that he didn't believe a word of what Meghan had said. Who is the host? James Corden, Simon Cowell, Ricky Gervais, Piers Morgan, or John Oliver?
Piers Morgan. He went cuckoo bananas.
I believe it.
He's a little like that anyhow.
Yeah, he used to be like not so bad, but he's been, too brainwashed or something.
Good Morning Britain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. He has gone off a deep end. But oh well.
Not our problem.
Yeah, not our problem, and I don't have to deal with them, so I'm very happy with it. The CDC said this week that Americans who had been fully vaccinated could do which two of the following: gather indoors in small groups without wearing masks, host large indoor gatherings with unvaccinated people from multiple households, socialize with members of one unvaccinated household, stop wearing masks and social distancing in public, or travel across state lines to visit friends and relatives. Some of these are absolutely ludicrous because you don't see the CDC even remotely saying anything like this yet, but some of them are a little more in the realm of believability. I think we can all cross off host large indoor gatherings. I have not heard anyone saying that traveling across state lines to visit friends and relatives is a good idea yet. I don't think.
But people have been doing that.
Well, of course, people are doing it. I just don't see the CDC saying yes, go do it.
It was okay. I'm like 99% sure I know the answer to this one. Okay, it's gather indoors in small groups without wearing masks and socialize with members of one unvaccinated household.
To me, those are two very logical answers. What does everyone else think?
That sounds good. I want to go to like a buffet. So if that would be a recommendation for the next thing, that would be nice. Any buffet, Chinese, Golden Corral, I don't care.
Any of them, huh?
Any of them, just so I can get into a buffet.
I haven't been to a buffet in ages, and that sounds amazing right now.
You know how much I love food? We ate lunch together that one time.
Exactly, and we'll have to do it again this weekend.
Yes.
Okay, what's really crazy, back in September or October, most of the buffets in Nebraska have sort of closed down, but back in September, one in Nebraska City, which is a town of about 7,000, we went to their Valentino's Pizza. Jared will know what that is. Valentino's Pizza, and they do a buffet, and they actually had their buffet up yet. It's like, whoa, that's weird. You know, I mean, I wasn't really expecting that, but they were there.
Chocolate fountain sounds so good right now.
Yeah, I would not disagree with that. Actually, in North Carolina, we have just started bringing back the make your own lunchbox, like at the grocery stores where they have the hot food and the salad bars and stuff. Those are just starting to come back. So yeah, no, it's. I was actually rather excited to see that. Not gonna
Little
lie.
things. It is a little. I went to church on Sunday, and it was funny because it was the first time in almost a year that both my husband and I went to church at the same time and sat on the main floor with the other dozen or 15 people that were still there. You know, all these couples that they're still doing a lot of online stuff, but it was hilarious because, you know, the times that we'd gone before, people were kind of not talking very much and, you know, maintaining their distance. That on this past Sunday, people are saying, "Hey, I just got my second shot." You know, and their people are high-fiving even in masks. You know, and they're, you know, on the way out, they're standing next to. I mean, so people are done with it.
Absolutely.
And they're trying to move back into.
You don't have to raise your hand. You just shout on over.
Jump in.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, you guys might be looking forward to the buffet, but I'm looking forward to singing again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Going up church, that in my heart, oh my gosh. I'm ready for singing. I'm ready for karaoke. I'm ready for gospel choirs. I'm ready for choirs. I'm ready just to be able, sing again, have music in the world, you know?
Yes.
So, anyways,
last year, right before right before everything shut down, my son was supposed to be the High School Musical was Footloose, and he had one of the minor leads, right? And they shut it down the week before the performance. They shut everything down. Tomorrow night, he goes live as the named character and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and they're actually doing live performances. He says, we got to wear masks. I said, that's okay. We'll get to hear you. So at least there are places where things are, starting to become more normal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Proud mom.
No, absolutely. Which state has a population of 730,000 people and became the first in the United States to allow all residents over age 16 and older to access the coronavirus? We actually talked about this last week.
Yeah.
Alaska?
Alaska.
Thanks, Darby.
Alaska is the first, and we talked about it last week that Alaska actually had to change their law and say that it had to be residents of Alaska, and the Canadians could not cross the border to come and get the vaccine in Alaska because they were just having swarms of people coming across the border trying to get the vaccine from the Western Canadian provinces, which are having still a very hard time getting vaccines to those areas. So, yeah.
I will just notice that Tim and Jared have both been talking about Arbor Day and Arbor Day Lodge and Nebraska City and all this sort of stuff. That is true. And we had to take our J. Sterling Morton statue out of Statuary Hall because he got into trouble. So, or people thought that he was bad, even though he, lived in like 1890 or something like that. So,
yeah.
But they put the statue up in Nebraska City, so that's cool.
Oh, it's hiding there.
Yeah, they put it up. They put it in a place of honor.
Witness protection.
Yeah, that's right.
I think sometimes we try to judge people or things with a modern lens, and we don't acknowledge the time or the circumstances of their lives. And sometimes, yes, the individual, if they live today, would probably be an SOB. Mm-hmm. But
I mean, doctors used to tell people to do cocaine because they had ghosts in their blood. So, clearly things have changed. Some people.
Yeah, so it's.
Laura, does your husband recommend cocaine?
I don't think the Arbor Day has not been canceled. And my husband does not recommend cocaine for ghosts. I don't think he prescribes for ghosts. Hey, Jared, speaking of cocaine, what did Nebraska's governor say recently?
Oh my God. We're going down a bad place of not.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Now I need to know what Nebraska's governor said.
My fault. Sorry.
He said, so there's a medical marijuana bill in the legislature this week and in committee, and he said literally that if you legalize marijuana, it will you are killing your kids, or you will kill your kids.
Oh yeah, we touched base on that last week because we talked about Dragnet and yeah, I remember that.
There we go.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh. Yeah. That's
hyperbole.
Yeah, it's disgusting. By the way, Doug may need to see your husband. He may have ghosts in his blood. I love our viewers, by the way. They make the show. They really do. One of these maps show the share of the population in each state that has gotten at least one dose of the coronavirus vaccine. Darker shades mean higher share than has been inoculated. Which is the correct map?
Oh, Lord.
I know the answer by process of elimination.
I think I'm getting there too. I think it's A. Do you think it's A?
I agree with you. It's A.
Anyone else?
Does anyone else have a other opinion?
I'm good for A. I'm good for A.
I'm not sure. I might say B.
So the reason I say A is it's the only one that does not have New York as a dark color. And New York is having a lot of problems actually getting people vaccinated. And it's such a problem, they haven't even cleared 65 or over yet.
Whew.
So it would have to be New York not being a dark shade to be a valid map in my mind.
And I heard today that South Dakota and North Dakota were like the top, after Alaska, they were the top percentages. So that's why.
Because like that, like 16 people.
Yeah. Right.
So we're going A?
That's some smack talk coming from Nebraska.
That's right. That's what we do.
We're going A.
Oh, you have to click that.
And
Good job.
we are correct. New Mexico, Alaska, and Connecticut are among the states with the highest shares of their populations vaccinated, while Georgia, Alabama, and Texas are among the states with the lowest.
Not another map.
Oh my God.
I know.
Like we're running out of
I
questions.
love maps.
Hey.
I stand alone in this. I know that. One of these maps compares states' median household income. Darker shading means higher dollar figures per household. Which is it?
D. I don't know. I think D. Just because Hawaii is darker than Alaska, that just kind of makes sense.
I could go D.
I'm going to say D. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I don't know.
We say D?
Yeah, do it.
No, it's B.
E.
Well, and you know what? With all the oil fields in Alaska, that makes sense too.
Yeah, and they have this thing where you get, if you live in Alaska, you get money from the oil fields.
Yes, yeah. It's the only state that pays you to live there.
Yeah.
It is the only state with a negative tax.
Mm-hmm.
It's B, with the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Massachusetts having the highest median family incomes, and Arkansas, West Virginia, and Mississippi being the lowest. The shades of the other two maps show each state's total population size and the share of votes President Biden won in each state in the 2020 election.
Okay, so we got to get Tim Hagen on here because he knew that.
Yeah.
Based on Mississippi.
We got duped by Biden's share of 2020.
Yeah.
That's the map that duped us. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri, who is pictured above, this week became the 5th Republican senator to announce he would not seek re-election in 2022. How many Democratic senators have said that they plan to retire next year?
0. I don't fucking know, man. 0.
I would 0.
0. Goose egg, nil, nada.
Didn't he say something crazy today?
Who?
Roy Blunt.
He says crazy things on the regular. He's the new version of Strom Thurmond, in my opinion. It's
talk.
Yeah, no, he's a weirdo. I'm sorry. I mean, come on, just look at him. He looks like a TV evangelist.
Yeah. Oh, I can't
Sort of got a Pat Robertson thing going on there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. You know.
Yeah.
Takes little boys into the
No.
I don't really like to politicians based off their looks. I'd rather. There's more to. There's more.
I know. I jest, of course, but all right. What is pictured in this photo? A van that has been parked in the same spot for a decade since the meltdown at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. Boston thistle, an invasive and fast-spreading weed that is taking over Japan's parking lots. The last Suzuki microvan in operation in Japan, which has become coveted by rare car collectors. An Instagram influencer, Van Life Japan, stopped for the night in the van he has called home since the start of the pandemic.
Oh, I'm really feeling like that last one's good.
Yeah, it does.
Literally,
Fukushima.
Fukushima.
Either Fukushima or the invasive species plant.
Doesn't that look like there's like a house in the back though?
yeah, like it's like
Fukushima, everyone just left. I mean,
I suppose, but it says, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, last one for sure.
Okay, so who says Boston Thistle? No? Who says rare coveted microvan? Or who says Instagram influencer?
I think that could be it. That seems just crazy enough.
No,
So
I don't
the funny thing is, we're between the first and the last.
yeah.
It's exactly what Joshua Chrome says. It's the first or the last. So we seem to be right on his page.
Well, what's the page say? It says. I mean, are there any details in the picture that we could see better? I don't know. It's
If you can read Japanese,
oh,
there are a couple of signs.
Okay. Are they old signs? Are they new signs? They look
like metal signs and difficult to determine age.
That looks like our house when we bought it, and they had never trimmed the weeds for 10 years. So that's my guess. A.
Okay. I don't care. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go Fukushima. I don't know. I really don't know. It could be the last one too. Nope. It is Fukushima.
We bought a fixer-upper.
Yeah, the van has not moved from the town of Futaba, Japan, which remains mostly deserted since the meltdown. This week marked 10 years since the catastrophic earthquake and the ensuing tsunami and meltdown killed more than 19,000 people.
So a meltdown was a nuclear power plant, that kind of meltdown?
Yeah. So they had the tsunami, which then knocked out it put seawater or salt water into the cooling water for the nuclear facility, so they couldn't use the cooling water, or they did, and then the salt actually froze some of the valves, so they could no longer control how much or how little cooling went in. Then Fukushima, which is already destined to be closed due to obsolescence 15 years prior, failed, caused a meltdown, killed thousands of people, and still many square miles of Japan are completely uninhabitable.
So crazy stuff like that is why people don't think that nuclear power is a good option. And
well, it was operating 15 years past its expected lifespan.
Yeah.
And it should not have been operating any longer. But Japan, much like many other countries around the country, unlike Germany and France, do not allow new nuclear power plants to be constructed. So a lot of these nuclear power plants continue to operate because they're a vital part of the grid.
Yeah.
And they create their own problems because they are supposed to be cycled out of useful life decades ago in some areas.
See, we told you it was dangerous, and it's like literally the best source of power you can use, but okay.
Yeah, and Rob reiterates that it knocked out the cooling pumps, and that's because the seawater got into the valves and everything. So it was horrible. It was really, really horrible. England is going to be the next nation that has a massive nuclear meltdown. They have several nuclear power plants that are operating 20 plus years past their planned obsolescence. And England is ripe for nuclear disaster right now. But it's not the fact that nuclear power is unsafe. It's just that you wouldn't drive a 60-year-old car that has been going constantly and not gone into the shop to be repaired.
Yeah.
You're asking the same thing. That's exactly what you're asking. Okay, I'll get off my nuclear high horse, and I have my trigger issues that I'll just like start rambling on about, and I apologize to everyone. Approximately what share of American children lived in poverty at the end of 2020? 3%, 6%, 14%, 20%, or 41% of American children live in poverty?
I'd say 41%.
41%?
Yeah.
Right. I think 41% of all children are behind poverty. I mean, children are just too darn expensive, and they throw their parents into the poorhouse. It's just no. Jared says 14%, which is right around the U.S. Percentage for poverty. Poverty is running right around 12% nationally. So 14 makes sense to me.
Well, yeah. I think it's higher. I think it's 22.
Well, John agrees with you, 22.
I can go 22. I go 22.
I'm going to stick at 14. We've got 2 votes for 22, 1 for 14. Valerie, any ideas?
I see 14 also.
50-50, and actually, and Josh also says double deuce, 22%. So we are, most of the comments are actually coming in at 22%. So let's go 22. No, it was 14.
Thank God. I mean, seriously, like.
Yeah, I was holding out a little bit of hope for humanity too.
Yeah.
14.
But I am in a school district that has fairly high free and reduced lunch, and so that's kind of their, that's a standard. So it depends on where you're at and everything too. But.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, you have to remember that according to the Department of Education, to qualify for reduced or free lunches, you have to be, 75% over the poverty level. So it's a marked in percentage over the poverty level to actually qualify for it. It's not the poverty level.
Right.
10, 11. Who's that?
Okay, I have no idea. The Grammy Awards are on Sunday. Who is the artist pictured above? With who is a nominee and will go? Going back, I will say that this is Britney Spears.
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny, BTS, DaBaby, Doja Cat, or Little Baby.
Oh my God, BTS is like 7 Korean guys. So.
It looks just as realistic to me as anything else.
Right.
Feena, do you know?
I said Bad Bunny.
Okay.
Bad Bunny? Let's go Bad Bunny.
I'll buy it.
Bad Bunny it is.
Yeah.
He does not. I mean,
he looks like Hall and Oates together.
Yeah, I don't know. I expect to hear, like smooth jazz coming out of him. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a rapper, and he was on Saturday Night Live. That's the only reason why I remember him. He's recently on Saturday Night Live, so I thought his music was cool.
Saturday Night Live.
And, he even has like the Ruth Bader Ginsburg pearls on, and I don't know. It's he looks wholesome like us.
Yeah, he does.
Very wholesome.
Question 11, last question of the night. I gave away nearly $6 billion last year. I married a high school science teacher. I live in Seattle. Who am I? Jack Dorsey, Melinda Gates, Lauren Powell Jobs, Elon Musk, or Mackenzie Scott?
Elon Musk, maybe? I feel like he gives away money all the time.
He does.
He doesn't live in
Seattle.
Yeah.
Scott. Jared said
Scott.
Who's Jack Dorsey? I feel like that name sounds familiar, but I'm not like 100%.
Yeah, you're right. Jack Dorsey does sound familiar, but I have no idea. We've got a vote for Scott. We have a vote for Gates. Musk is married to Grimes. I don't know. Bezos's ex-wife got married to a teacher. Jared,
So
what's her name? Twitter CEO.
Oh, Jack Dorsey's the Twitter CEO.
Yep,
Okay.
there you go.
So would it be like Mackenzie Scott? Because other than Melinda Gates, which do we all agree that it's not Melinda
It
Gates?
can't be Melinda Gates
It's
because
Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Bill never. Yeah.
And then this is Steve Jobs' ex-wife, or widow, rather.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a chick. All right.
Yeah.
So we're down to two ladies.
Yeah.
I think if it was somebody relevant, whoever Mackenzie Scott, if Mackenzie Scott is the Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, like she's still like,
Yeah, she's big with philanthropy, and Jared says that she married a teacher. So
Sounds good.
Yep, we'll go there. And Jared's saving our bacon again. Thank you very much, Jared.
Woohoo!
Yep. We got 9 out of 11. We did better than 68% of those who took the quiz. 18% of quiz takers got the same score as us, and 14% did better than us.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like a B, right? It's like
Yeah.
a B.
Yeah,
9
yeah.
out of 11? That's like an A minus.
Or a B plus.
Or a B plus, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go that way too. Oh,
Well, thank you guys for having me on your show tonight.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. Do we have any plugs, any closing remarks, or anything that we've got going on in the upcoming week that we want to share with everybody?
Sure, you can check out my website. It's Feena for district20.com, or find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. I have a film coming out. It's called The Wall Anti-Posteriori, and the trailer is available on my website. I've also posted on YouTube. It's open. And I look forward to hanging out with you guys in Reno, hopefully. And thanks for having me on.
Trying to get an
Well,
LSD.
thank you for being here. I know myself and Valerie. Laura, are you going to be in New Hampshire this weekend?
No, I'm going to You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We talked about that. Oh, my goodness.
Way better.
But Valerie and I will be at the New Hampshire Libertarian State Convention this weekend. So if you want to come and hang out with us, please come on down to the New Hampshire Libertarian State Convention. It's in Concord, right?
In beautiful Concord.
Concord. Sorry.
Downtown Concord.
I'm saying it like a North Carolinian.
Yeah.
Concord. And then next weekend, so you can make your travel plans, I will be in Nebraska Indiana. Sorry, I'll be in Indiana next weekend for their Libertarian State Convention. Wow, I got all sorts.
You can come and visit, but I don't know what you'd be doing because we don't have annual convention.
Charlie Brown.
That's
oh,
right.
there you go.
Too late.
So yeah, next weekend I'll be in Indiana. So if you want to make plans to come on down to that, I'd love to see you there too. Any other announcements for the upcoming week?
The affiliate support committee is meeting on Monday. We are 1 month away from completing the Affiliate in the Box contest, and we are almost halfway funded for our fundraising goal for the year. Close to $7,000. Yeah, I'm feeling good about that. And we've got lots and lots of good stuff coming up throughout the year, including something that the working title is LPQ, having a barbecue in your backyard and showing your neighbors that libertarians aren't wacky goofballs.
What if we are wacky goofballs?
But we are a little bit. We are a little bit. But if you give them a hot dog, maybe they'll want to come and hang out and learn more about being a libertarian.
There you go. Well, everyone, I just want to say thank you for watching. Make sure you like, follow, and share us on Facebook and Twitter. And you have a great week. We will see you again on Thursday next week. Have a great one, everyone.
Thank you.